You may already read the title and already know what performance expect from this card, but I will say that this GPU comes with heavy history because this GPU architecture helped AMD to get back on their feet in the competitive market. But not only that, another factor is that this architecture is foundation what AMD is now. This architecture introduced not only crucial DirectX 11 support, but even nowadays problem, that is performance per watt metric, because this architecture was very efficient. But you can't really say about GTX 280 and NVIDIA's that time popular graphics card. But now about specs of this history. This GPU was released in 2010, powered with one of the Evergreen series Redwood graphical processors, and for that time impressive 400 shading units. But for memory sizes there was 3 options: 512MB, 1GB and 2GB versions, and I have middle one, 1GB. For memory types, this card specifically is GDDR3 memory, but there was GDDR5 and the most common DDR3. But there was rumors that there was even DDR2 option available. HD 5570 have 128-bit bus width and TDP of just 39 watts. Yeah guys, one more thing. Keep in mind that this card was made for 720p gaming only and supported maximum display resolution of 1080p, basically. But now I will stop yapping and tell you about performance of this card. And first game for today is Fortnite in 720p performance preset. Average frame rate was 55.3 FPS, minimum was 14.9 FPS and maximum was 95.6 FPS. I confidently can say that Fortnite is very playable, because I get like 2 wins with this card. Next is CS2 in 720p, lowest possible settings. Average card get 26.9 FPS, minimum was 3.8 FPS, and the maximum was 45.6 frames per second. I will say that if you have this card, please don't play CS2. It wasn't an enjoyable experience. But I guess card can run the game, at least. Now the game, who is optimized for low-end hardware, GTA 5, still in 720p as expected, in normal graphical preset, and best frame rate was when game running DirectX 10. So card averaged 46.2 FPS, minimum was 34.2 FPS, and maximum of 67 frames per second. GTA 5 runs smoothly, even when I crashed in every single car, but despite that, card couldn't run in 1080p, because when I launched the game in 1080p, ignoring message that VRAM was exceeded, card 8 times out of 10 crashed, so 720p is best option as AMD advertised. But Minecraft in 1080p, default video settings, run great. Average FPS was 97.4 and minimum was 49.8 FPS, where maximum was 140.9 FPS. In survival mode, there's like 10 FPS less than creative, but other than that, enjoyable graphics for Minecraft. Rocket League in 1080p quality preset. Well, here wasn't that enjoyable frame rate, but interesting fact was that 720p and 1080p in same video settings run with same exactly FPS. Rocket League's average frame rate was 24.7 frames per second, minimum of 17.5 FPS, and maximum was 28.9 frames per second. With this card, you can play Rocket League without any stutters, but experience wasn't great, same as CS2. My suggestion, skip this game too. Now next games I benchmarked because I wanted to see how this card performs compared to GT 710. If you want to see GT 710 review, I will put info card and link in the description, so you can click on it and watch the video. But now Team Fortress 2 in 1080p highest settings. Average FPS was 134.2, minimum was 52.9 frames per second, and maximum was 391.9 FPS. Basically, when get killed or in menu screen. Next up is Portal 2 in 1080p highest settings, plus 2x MSAA for crispy edges. Average frame rate was 44 FPS, minimum was 31.8 FPS, and maximum was 66.4 FPS. Matter of frame rate, Nothing was glitching or stuttering. Game ran very enjoyable, without any problems. Now the game where GT 710 struggled the most, Resident Evil 4, but with HD 5570 was a little bit different story. Resident Evil 4 in 720p medium shadow quality setting. Game average FPS was 48.9, minimum of 45.7 FPS, and maximum was 60.9 FPS. Game itself was locked to 60 FPS, so not more than 60, but when I walked in zones where there's less enemies and mobs, FPS just always stayed in 60, so I can confidently say that game ran a lot better than on GT 710. Halo 3 was next, in 720p performance preset. Average FPS was 35.2, minimum was 21.6 FPS, and maximum was 54.2 FPS. Nothing really glitched in Halo 3, even when you walked in new zone. Oh, I can miss Heaven benchmark. Settings set to 720p low preset in DirectX 11. HD 5570 averaged 39.4 FPS, minimum was 25.8 FPS, and maximum was 64.3 FPS, and card scored 992 points. In the end, I will mention that this card, when I tested different games, didn't exceed 50 degrees. That was impressive, but otherwise, if this card supported DirectX 12, it still would be a viable option to choose. At least I would choose the card over the GT 710. And one thing that is worth mentioning, that card's driver support ended back in 2015, but other than that, I will definitely looking forward to overclock this card in the future. Drop comment if you want to see it too. But it's time now for me to say thanks for watching and thank you for subscribing.